Alright, guys, so we're back yet again. We're going to be doing another horror movie review. We're going to be doing Rosario, or Rosario, however you want to pronounce it. So, this movie is brand new, came out this year. And the way this movie is portrayed is you have our main character, Rosario, who's played by, I'm probably going to butcher this woman's name, Emrata Telba. Again, if you guys don't recognize her, she played in Shadowhunters. That's the main thing I know her from as Izzy. That's how I know her from. Again, one of the most beautiful, badass characters in that franchise. And the way this movie is portrayed is she is called to handle her grandmother's passing, and she was not very close with her grandmother. Her grandmother and her father had odds due to when him and his wife, I believe, got divorced, from what I understand. Uh, they went their separate ways. She sided with her father. She became very successful. She got into, I believe, being a broker, either a broker or something in sales or something very high up within an industry. And so she's called because apparently her grandmother kept trying to call her, which was weird in the beginning. And then she calls, and then someone was basically saying that she passed away, and they, since her grandmother, I'm assuming, didn't come here legally, that they were going to do whatever. And she said, okay, so I'm going to go over there. I'm not that far away. She goes there. The apartment, the building is just a rundown, hole. I mean, it's so rundown, and bad winter storm. They're in Brooklyn, and she has to sit there with her grandmother's body and not only clean up but also wait for EMS to show up. Now, while this is going on, she starts experiencing a lot of paranormal things, and then she starts realizing that her grandmother was pretty much a bruja, which is a witch, and her grandmother practiced in a lot of different things, and she ends up finding out that she was cursed, even though she is to believe that her grandmother was praying for her every day, that she would get everything she wanted, to be very successful, that she wouldn't have to go through all the things her family went through. And so she's having to really not only dig in her roots, but also learn more Spanish because she doesn't speak Spanish that much. And also having to rely on her faith and also save herself before dawn comes. And so she gets terrorized by these entities pretending to be not only her mother, her grandmother, and among others, while trying to survive the night. And she goes into a lot of survival mode. And then by the very, time comes where she confronts this entity and is able to fight for not only her survival but her soul, pretty much. And she finally is able to extinguish it from what it looks like. But at the very end of the film, we get a very big twist, which is really crazy to me, which was she her dad shows up. Her dad says he was on the way, and as soon as her dad shows up, he's asking her like, "Hey, what happened?" Da da da. And as soon as everything kind of calms down, he says, "Hey, I'm gonna use the bathroom." And as soon as he does, she's waiting on him, and she sees that he already knows where this altar is that her grandmother had. And as soon as he starts telling her that he is the one that made this deal, he is the one that messed up, and unfortunately, he is the one that stated this deal. And what she thought was if she finally did whatever with her grandmother, that is the one that supposedly made the deal, then the entity would leave her alone. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Her father made the deal, and now her father had to pay the consequences because her father, again, was trying to give tribute to whatever this is, and by the very end it takes over him. She has no choice but to fight him, and he ends up, unfortunately passing away. And it goes into however long later, she's still become very successful. It looks like she's running either her own, firm, and she's getting, helping these ones that we saw earlier in the movie that wanted to help. And then at the very end, when she's giving praise to her family, where she comes from, because she saw what her family went through from crossing the border to having to deal with all these things. And by the very end of it, it looks like this entity is still around and just is wanting to come out her, and that's how the movie ends. Now, again, very weird ending, very, very confusing to follow, because it was really hard to follow exactly what was going on, other than entity trying to follow her, or possess her, or take her over, or take her soul, whatever. It was really hard to follow. It was really hard to follow, to go into the details of what exactly was going on in this film and what caused this to go on. You really got to pay attention, and you kind of make up your own thought process at the same time. Like, okay, this is what happened. This is what I believe happened. Overall, I think the movie is good. I think the movie is good. I think the dramatic, the horror, the thriller, the jump scares, the trying to figure out how everything was going on really kept you on your toes. I think she did a very good job for Emeralda. I think she did a very good job. I think she kept it very, what's the word I'm looking for? I think she kept it very entertaining. It really showed of how good of an actress she is, and also just showed how decent she was, really good at being able to show off her acting skills as an actress. Now, again, I have not seen her anything she's Shadowhunters, but overall, I think it was a very interesting film. Um, I think from what I've seen, this was actually based on a true story. Apparently, this was based on a true story, somewhere that happened in the Philippines. But this is kind of crazy, is because, again, it's really crazy. I don't know. I really don't know. But overall, I think this movie was interesting. I will say that. I think it was interesting, and I definitely would recommend this film to ones to give somebody new to check out. But overall, that's just my overall standing of the film. What do you guys think about it? Let me know about it down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you as always on the next one.